Welcome to another episode of WeDriveHealth podcast. I am your host, JT, with the lovely Lisa Robertson.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
And you are the owner of I Am Yogi Studios.
Yes, I am.
So tell me about that.
Myself or I Am Yogi?
Whichever one you want to start with.
Almost one and the same anyway.
That's actually really not good.
What, one and the same?
Yeah, like you should be able to separate your business from you.
Well,
Because if your business is not doing well, then are you not doing well?
I mean, so far in my journey of entrepreneurship, it seems that way. Almost like the essence of I Am Yogi is myself. So maybe I'm not quite there yet. We're 2 years open. I mean, we're doing well. We're making some impact. That was actually the mission.
Impact.
The question was, tell you a little bit, or the prompt was tell me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I Am Yogi is a yoga studio for women of color specifically. And initially it started due to my own experience. So that's why I said it's one and the same.
Copy.
And what I found out while opening the studio, it was just a yoga studio for women of color. But now that we're open and involved and making impact, I see that it's life-changing. It's a transformative space for most women. And it goes beyond just a yoga studio. It's a therapy place. It's a healing space. It's a safe space. And I would say it's a transformative space as well. It goes beyond yoga at the studio.
That's dope, because I feel like I'm in the transformative space as well. So you're in the transformative space, right? That's how you see yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I always feel... I mean, it doesn't mean it's a bad space. It kind of is like an impulse to growth, I should say. And I'm always evolving. Like I always tell my students, you have to experience many deaths to kind of be rebirthed into something else. You have to let go of something in order to evolve. You have to release this in order to move forward. So I always feel like we're in a space of transitioning or transforming into something else, maybe from what we want to be, what we were, to what we want to be, what we becoming. You know, I feel like there's always like some kind of transforming. Now, whether it's comfortable, that's something different.
Anytime you're transforming, it's never comfortable. But,
you shouldn't, you know.
But I'm like, you said like many deaths, and I'm just like, ooh, I don't know if I want to die. Like I want to, I guess, rehatch, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's
I guess more like the come out of my, like a butterfly, right? Like, what do they do? They come out their cocoon. What is that called?
Yeah. So you want to more like develop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, the way I look at it is death, people think of death, and I think that's maybe just a difference with yogis, but most people think of death as a bad thing. Death doesn't always mean just in the physical body. It can mean, maybe an old mindset.
A new beginning.
A new beginning.
Yeah.
And death has to occur for a new beginning.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's how I look at it. And I can give you a little bit of my background. So I'm coming from retail. I was in retail management for many years. My background was in maybe talent acquisition, rebranding, branding all over. And then I moved into finances, so financial advisor, where I sold stocks and insurance and different things. And literally I got fed up or got bored, and I went to school for psychology, now studying the human behavior, right? I think, studying the human behavior was just something of my personal interest, but it also worked in my fields of work, right? But after school, got my degree, and then it's like, now what? And I went through a lot of ups and downs. That's where I was introduced to depression, and that part of me died. I'm a yoga teacher now. Yeah,
that's actually crazy. So give me that step. So you got into as a financial advisor, and then you were just like, I'm done with this?
No, money was to be made. That world is almost like entrepreneurship. So I didn't work for any per company. I worked for myself. But it was a lot of ups and downs. It's sales, right? Sales is a different beast in the sense of you have to kind of know the psychology of people when you're selling to them. Correct. Right? And it wasn't about it. Me going back to school was for a number of things. One, I didn't qualify for a particular position. So that was like my own ego saying, oh, no one can tell me how far I can get in life, right? And then 2, if I was going to be better in sales, I said, why not educate myself on people and their behavior and what enticed them to like actually spend money and invest and so on and so forth. And then once I went through my degree, it was, I actually stopped to focus full time on my last year, complete the degree. And that is when I started to transform. And it was depression as well, but it was more or less, okay, what kind of work do I want to do? This type of work is not fulfilling. I'm not serving my true purpose. And, now you're starting to figure out things about yourself. It's not just hunger and greed and grinding. Like, you're like, no, I'm not happy. I'm not sleeping well. I just didn't feel fulfilled. And it sent me into a depression. I got pregnant at the same time, which hormones is now into place. So it was just a spiraling effect. And that's when I was introduced to yoga. 5 years ago, and at 4 months pregnant is the first time I ever stepped on a yoga mat. I don't even think I knew anything of yoga before then.
Really? I mean, all I knew was the yoga pants. You know how us guys like the yoga pants.
Yeah. And they different now. They got the little scrunch in the booty, so the booty pop a little different now. So
I don't look that hard no more. But in the beginning when they first came, I was like, oh, okay. Now I try to just
I understand.
Be very mindful.
Yeah, but and I guess in your defense,
defense. Oh, snap.
In your defense, so yoga became more popular just a few years ago through the pandemic, especially in our community.
Correct.
It's kind of like reintroducing. The media said, "Oh, everyone try yoga," and that's what we did. So yoga just became popular as well through the pandemic. So
that's
4
true.
years ago?
Yeah. So my first experience with yoga was you coming to WeDriveHealth. It was I was like, oh, this is what yoga is about. I was like, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, my body was making all types of sounds I'd never heard it make before, but it was your class is actually amazing.
Thank you, JT.
I mean, I have nothing to compare it to, but I'm assuming that it's amazing. No, because I've heard other people tell me about like their experience with yoga and they didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, come to WeDriveHealth. We have free yoga sessions with Lisa Thursdays at WeDriveHealth, every Thursday at WeDriveHealth. So pull up.
Yes. It's a time.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
Yeah. So what I will say though about your experience, I think that is what make I Am Yogi and Lisa unique. Because like I said, I stepped on a yoga mat 5 years ago, and I didn't do yoga with people that look like me. It was granted, when I went into the space, there was a bigger picture at hand, right? Like, I'm trying to fight depression and so on and so forth, saving me and my baby's life. But it was also uncomfortable. You kind of walk into a space, people don't look like you. Now you're introducing yourself. You don't even know what realm you're walking into because you hear this music in the background. We're not used to like that quiet nature sound, right? I'm from Queens. You're from the Bronx. Right?
No. I'm from Queens.
You're from Queens? I thought you was from the Bronx.
No. So when my family, I was born around the Bronx.
Some lineage. Okay.
Yeah. No, when my parents first came from England, they lived in the Bronx.
Okay.
And then my parents were like, nah, we're not raising them in the Bronx. Thank you, God. Thank you.
All right, but you understand what I mean. So when you hear like nature and you hear these sounds, these are things that are pretty foreign to us. And you really don't feel safe, one, because you're around a group of people that don't necessarily look at you, and it's not like it's enticing, like it's not their mission to make you feel comfortable.
Right.
So you feel very, I guess, indifferent, but you also feel out of place.
Yeah.
And but like I said, it didn't matter to me. Like, I was there on a mission. But once I started to become of self, and that's what yoga does, it's not necessarily about doing the posture. It's really to help you understand who you are at the moment, and deal and it's like a coping mechanism. Like, sometimes the biggest battle or the biggest war is who you are becoming versus who you were. And sometimes yoga, outside of the postures, it allows you to like go deeper within to say, okay, well, shorty, this is who you are today,
right?
And you have to accept it, and this is what you have to live with. And that's where we were with yoga. But when we talk about your experience, when I finally said, you know what, this is something that I need for my community because I was tired of traveling out 30, 40 minutes, right? So I was like, why don't we have this in my community where I'm from? And this is something that was so transformative. Honestly, saved my life. And I just couldn't understand like why we didn't. So of course research, because it makes sense, right? Black people are all about making their money, but why we don't have this in the community? And I come to realize a number of things after I did some research. It was it's a bunch of BS, right? It was like conflict of religion. It was it's for witches. Right.
I grew up in a very, very religious home. And so I think my mom, like, I think she, like, tried it. And then she was like, something don't feel right.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay. So later on, I was like, but my body, I knew that my body needed something different, right? Like, I needed to stretch. I needed to do this. And it basically forced me to get out of my comfort zone. So, I mean, at least I try not to dwell on the spiritualism, because I know there's that there is a spiritual aspect of it. So I'm really just about working, like, when you're going through your prompts and you're telling us dig deep and blah blah, that's what I'm listening to.
Right.
So I'm like in touch with my body.
No, and I think that's the way to do it. So what makes me so unique is that I've found a way to integrate the philosophy of yoga with my people, my language. Because to be honest, it's more of a science practice than it is a religious practice, right? Or a spiritual. It's no religious practice, spiritual practice. But it's more scientific if you think about it, right? You really just trying to release some stress or reduce stress hormones so that you can be calm enough to live. That's what it is, right? So it's a coping mechanism. Now that's on a, I guess, like a base level. It's at a very I don't know how you say it. It's a standard level. Now, if you choose to go deeper and you said, okay, I want to explore who I am more and I go a little bit more in depth, then that's when there's different levels to this, right? But for the most part, what I can say, I grew up as a Christian myself. And today I don't consider myself a Christian because of belief reasons. Listen, it's my prerogative. But I am
We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, we will. I grew up in the church, choir and everything. My best friend is a Christian as well. But today, just like yoga, I think that, and this is my preference or my prerogative, and my perspective, religion is much different from what it was then, such as yoga. Ancient yoga is not the same as Western yoga. People make everything what they want. And just as I feel about religion, we've come so far from what it was designed to be.
Well, and
in certain realms, certain aspects,
it's
scenarios.
been boxed, right? So essentially, religion is supposed to put you in a box and keep you in a box. So what you're saying is how yoga started was that, but now it's kind of opened up to much more than just the box that it was created to be.
Yeah, because people got a hold of it and made it what they wanted
it to be.
Right? But I feel like that is the same with Christianity, and I feel like that's why it's so hard for people to like trust in their belief system anymore, because once a group of people get a hold of something that's so pure and meant for a healing, they made it, they changed the concept of it,
perverted it.
Yeah. And now it's hard. So now even with yoga, I'm here for yoga. So when yoga is brought to us as a community as a healing aspect, people look at it as like, well, who are you worshiping? Who are you doing this to? Who are you? And what I come to realize is that outside of religion, this is the only thing that saved me. This is the only thing that pivoted me in a way where I'm finally able to live my purpose. I was able to have 2 more children with this practice, and I'm a better woman than I ever was.
So you're saying it healed you?
Yeah, mind, body, and spirit. Because I'll be honest, my relationship with God is closer now than it ever was.
Right.
You know what I mean? But not my philosophy, but the yoga philosophy is God is within you, and that's why you have to get closer to yourself in order to understand who God is.
Right.
And that's what we practice in yoga. So my experience as a teacher and the philosophy that I have in I Am Yogi is we don't teach based on the ancient philosophy. We teach with music, right? I love my music.
So I gotta stop. I gotta stop you in this moment. The first time that you came to the thing, you was playing some oldies. I was like, yo,
what is
cooking? This joint is hitting.
Yeah. Because it's all about familiarity, right?
Facts.
I don't know if I chopped that word up, but
No, you're good.
It's all about that, right? So I feel like Black people, in order for us to accept something, we have to be comfortable. And to me, that music, I didn't grow up in nature, right? Like, I'm an island girl, but that's a vacation. That's a leisure, a privilege for me right now, right? Because I live in Queens. But I had to play something that kind of put me at ease first, you know, in terms of scientific, right? Like my nerves, at least. You know, I had to make sure that we were in a space of comfort first for me to then to allow you to stretch, right? Now I have to include different breathing techniques to allow you to deepen into your practice and to trust me, right? And now I make sure I stay away from Sanskrit. Because to be honest, that's not my language, so I'm not going to pretend like that's where I'm from.
Right.
And then Sanskrit is just a particular language, but it can be translated into English, right? Why speak another language if you understand me quite fine?
Right.
So I think people are afraid of what they don't know. People are afraid of what they understand. So from what I understood of yoga, I translated it for my people to say, this is okay. We actually do this in our religion. We actually do this in the gym. We all these different practices, even when we go to the doctor, right? There's certain things that medication can't fix,
Right.
you know? So that's all I did. I just took what I understood of yoga, translated to my people, made it an experience for us. And then by the end of the class, you're like, wow, I feel good.
Well, mission accomplished. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there are times I'm like, I don't want to go, and then literally at the end, I'm just like, I'm so happy I came. Like, almost, I would say 95% of the time, except when you do your when it's just the guys and you trying to kill us.
Because we got to get to work. When the guys there,
Mercy, you be really like trying to kill us.
No,
like,
I don't.
All right,
No, I don't. Not 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop it.
I'm like, and she be like, all right, next one. And I'm like, come on, can we?
Yeah.
You be going in, but I like I said, at the end of it, like, I'm so thankful. Like, my body responds. So like, I got into an accident today. Like, some guy ran into me.
I'm sorry.
Try to run, but now my back is like, it was kind of like, I was having issues and before, like, but now it's like even worse. Tonight, I know we have yoga tonight. I'm like, okay, should I go?
No, we'll take it easy. So I just want to touch on a point though. So yoga is in a box, but there's different channels, there's different styles, there's different purposes of yoga. So the style that I give you guys in terms of vinyasa, it's a quicker type of flow, but it's used to move energy around.
So that's like when it's just the guys.
It's just when it's with the guys, but I don't want you to say that, because at the studio the girls get busy with vinyasa.
they get busy. I don't see it, but I'm saying they get busy.
Not at Nate's studio, because this is a stepping stone.
I can only talk about Nate's studio. At Nate's studio, or rather, WeDriveHealth, you be going in.
Okay, so there's levels to this, right?
There's the next level.
Of course. What do you think? We're always in a state of transforming. So when you guys improve, I don't want to say get good, because you never get good at yoga, but when you improve, getting good at yoga is like mastering life, like a life mastery, right? So when you get better or you improve in vinyasa, there's other things that we improve on. So I just want to kind of give it to you like this. There's 8 limbs of yoga, right? And what we practice in Nate's studio or WeDriveHealth is maybe the first 4. Kind of just, it's called yamas niyamas, respecting others and respecting ourselves. So I do this in my prompt, in my meditation. I speak you guys through it. Then there's pranayama, which is breathing, and then there's asana, which is just movement. But we haven't even gotten to the enlightenment part, right? But in order to get there, we have to master.
Got it. Well,
get comfortable with
So at least
this.
I know that we're not still on level 1. So we're
moving. But you won't know because you're enjoying yourself so much.
I am enjoying myself. You should at least be like, good job, JT. Like, yes. Nate be jealous.
Yeah.
Nate be jealous.
It's okay. He's getting well himself.
Then you be like, oh, he's always talking about JT. And then when the John stretch therapist, John comes through.
And he's
I don't like that cat.
I'm sorry. But listen.
She's like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What? So I'll be honest. It is a confidence booster the better you get at a hobby, right? Because yoga becomes a hobby at first. You like, oh, I gotta go to I gotta go to, not hobby, I gotta go to yoga, right? So it's a hobby at first, but then eventually you start, once it's like working out. Once you stop working out, you like, no, I gotta go back to that.
No, I feel
you
it.
see the change.
No, I feel it. And I
Yeah.
think that's probably why my back is the way it is now. So, like, because I haven't been in, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I thought that's why you were saying your back was hurting before, because I was like, yeah, because he hasn't been to yoga.
No, even before, like, so I'll definitely be there today.
Okay, and we'll take it light. We won't do vinyasa today because I know your situation. So we'll do more of like a stretch therapy, kind of like have the
that
style.
would be wonderful.
Yeah, and I make sure I have the tunes on for you so you can relax.
See, this is
And
what
we
I'm
get
talking. See,
this.
this is why you good peoples.
I appreciate you, JT.
So tell me, what's the vision and the goal moving forward
For the company.
Yes.
All right, so most recently we've started a new mission with hot yoga. Now, hot yoga is what we do, just enhancement. It expedites the process, right? So when you think of heat, so pranayama is also heat, right? It's like breath, oxygen, heat, whatever. Now, when you have hot yoga, right, you think about like you're gasping for air more. So, and that's what life is really calling. Just breathe a little bit more, put oxygen in your body, release the carbon dioxide, right? So that's pretty much enhancing much faster. So you're breathing a little bit more viciously, right? You're trying to save your life. And then your lungs is expanding, but also your lymphatic system is like regulating. Yeah. So everything is, it's like I said, it's more of a scientific approach than anything. Your sympathetic system, right, is more relaxed at this point. And I wouldn't even say relaxed. It is relaxed. We think it's exhausted, but it's more relaxed. So now your parasympathetic is almost like, okay, I am good. I am working out. So it's more of a mental health. It's a physical health. I'm going to say emotional health as well, because you, in this space, you have to talk to yourself a little bit more. Like, you got this, JT. Like, keep pushing through. And then after, because you've exhausted all toxins, you feel better.
You definitely feel better.
Yeah.
I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I feel better. So question, with the hot yoga, right? Like, how are you achieving that? Are you doing with coals, or are you doing it like you just turning the heat all the way? Like, how are you doing it?
I wish I was that fancy to do it with coals, but my pockets is not set up like that. What I'm going to do is something called infrared panels. And the infrared panels it's like a heated panel that heats the body instead of the actual air. So when you come in, you won't feel like stifled, like you're gasping for air. Your body will be heated. You'll be sweating a little bit more, but you'll be able to breathe, I guess, more fluidly than like forced air.
So everybody has their own individual panel, or is it just across the four walls?
It's just across the walls, but it targets body.
Got it.
The heat itself targets body. So the humidity. So it'll feel more of Queen summer is different from a tropical summer.
Facts.
Right? It's the difference in air. So you could think of hot yoga as like a tropical. So think about like working out like on a very hot day. So it feels good though. At first, just like anything, it feels like is devastating, but it feels good.
So question, so your studio is only for women, just to be clear, right?
So I started the mission only with women. Right now I'm expanding to more of a co-ed practice, only because you know what? I am blessed. I am. Only because through my research of like seeing what type of classes I would be doing with the hot yoga, I come to realize, I took interest realizing that more of athletes will really benefit from the hot yoga.
Got it.
Yeah. So I felt, and then when you go in a rabbit hole, once you start doing research, you start to see that athletes are like, suffering from like chronic pain or like injury and not repairing, or they're not able to recover as fast. Right. So I figured, and who are the most athletes? Black men, right?
There you go.
So I took on another cape and I said, let me save my black men as well, right?
See what I'm saying? At least out here for the people.
I am. And I'm going to stay committed. It's definitely something that I've noticed a change in myself, in my own body. I see the changes in my students' body, especially like my members that come to the studio often. So I just have to plant enough roots to stick around long enough to see the change overall. But I would say one live at a time.
So where's your studio?
Queens.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's in Queens.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I'll be there forever. I mean, I think in the future, listen, we may be in Brooklyn, we may be in Long Island, maybe in the city.
Long Island's not bad.
No, it's not bad. It's nice.
Bad, yeah.
Black people live in Long Island.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Sure do. Probably cheaper in Long Island too.
Overhead.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Well, thank you so much. Any final words?
No. No. I'm good.
You really don't have any final words? Like, how would you end your session?
Well, one, I would tell the people, make sure you get to I Am Yogi Studios. But if you are not in a space where you can get to an actual studio, I would encourage everyone to find a way to just, let me pull back a little bit. If you cannot get to the studio, I would find a way to join any yoga class. Now, I don't want to encourage any yoga class because the experience, like JT said, is different. But I would say just start somewhere, even if it's meditation. Movement is medicine overall. So come out of that box of conflict of religion, it's for the witches or it's boring. Understand that yoga is a lifestyle. It's not necessarily a sport. It's a lifestyle. It takes practice. Give it some time, but you will see the results at the end.
Do you have any final words? No. And then you just hit us with a whole joy. Okay. So also, like, again, Lisa is at WeDriveHealth every Thursday at 7 p.m. So pull up. Space is limited. So, but we have an amazing time.
We do yoga to Anita Baker, so you'll enjoy yourself.
Yes, Anita Baker. And, I'm out here singing. I got to catch myself. And I'm like, yo, Lisa, who's this singing? When you're doing the new mixes, yeah, the JP fire.
Yeah,
the JP
I'm
fire.
here.
All right, thank you. And as always, live long and prosper.
Scene 1, take 3.